Every student faces a struggle that feels insurmountable, whether it's a personal struggle, something in a project, or just some self-doubt that comes from learning something new. Naturally, they're going to want to come to the instructor for advice, but what if that's actually not the best thing for them? What if it was better for them to give the advice themselves? So I wanted to see if there was a way to empower students by exploiting one of my favorite behavioral insights, which is the advice giving effect. It's that thing we all do where we give advice to someone else, even though we can't actually seem to do that advice on our own. And yet science shows that that might actually be productive. Giving advice to others might help us build confidence, but also realize that we can do the thing that we are advising others to do as well. Except to really drive it home, today's experiment is going to add a bit of a magic trick to make sure that you are truly getting benefits from the advice. When students put the advice to someone else, they actually are secretly giving it to themselves without realizing, using some generative language magic. Now, let's jump into it and see what that looks like. Say we start in August this year, and the class is on August 6th over here, and it gives students a prompt to briefly describe a challenge that they're currently facing in managing their coursework. To this, a student named Nia responds saying that she's feeling overwhelmed, that she wants to manage her time better, can't stay on schedule, feels like she's procrastinating, and so she submits this into the system. Now, 2 weeks pass, we submitted the thing on the 6th, and now we're on August 20th, and Nia receives something in her inbox. A message from an anonymous person saying that lately I've been struggling with keeping my commitments balanced. I tend to fill my plate with lots of activities. Basically, this is written in a way that is similar enough to the complaints that she had, although not identical, but also with enough time in between that she might not actually remember what she had written into the system back then. And so Nia will have the chance to give this anonymous student in the class advice. She will be asked to type in something that will help her. And so she does. She types in some ideas for things they can do, maybe even draws on something she actually does that she, in that moment back then, forgot. Once she submits, she will see that, in fact, she had just given advice not to another student, but to herself. And in her message, you'll see that there are underlines on the specific text that connects to the things that she thought she was struggling with 2 weeks ago. She can go over these and hover and see that identifying 2 to 3 priorities for each day, which is her own advice, connects with her lack of being able to manage time better. She can see that aiming for a perfect routine is maybe not the right thing to do, is setting a schedule that's too rigid. Instead, she should build the habits one at a time. And down here, she should give herself some credit so that she doesn't worry. And so Nia will realize now that she is building confidence because the advice that she was giving to someone else, that activity, the hack where we give someone else better advice than we can follow on our own, is being leveraged, but to a complaint that was generated based on her own struggles. So from here, we get a reflection, and Nia is asked to think about how her own words gave her a new perspective and to take a small step that she can start to manage her time better with. Another version of this experiment is more social. So let's refresh the calendar. And this time, the prompt is describe a challenge you're currently facing in your design work. Again, I'm teaching design. And so we get some submissions. The whole class submitted something, but these 3 students were selected because theirs were similar, yet they don't know that just yet. So the language model will take these messages, process them into one single letter, and send that to each of the students. In this case, let's take the perspective of Basma. We can see here Basma is being asked to reply to this message, and so she does. And this time, when she hits submit, she is shown that not only is she helping herself, she's also helping some other students. And in highlighting, she can see those intersections. In this case, she gave a comment to someone that isn't her, to Alex and Owen, who share this struggle. Down here, we can see that Basma and Owen share an issue where they feel like they're comparing their designs too much. And so her advice to stop doing that or to not worry too much about that can be applied to both her and to someone else in her class. And of course, down here, there's something that all 3 of them share, which is their feeling of a lack of originality. And so her telling that supposed anonymous student to allow their unique perspective to make them stand out can be both helpful to her peers, but also, as she can see, to herself. In this version of the concept, she's not only realizing that she can give herself advice, but also that she's helping classmates and forming social connections, because now, when we hit send, the classmates will get this idea and they can thank her or maybe arrange a meeting in the next class. But also, she gets to reflect on how the advice is helping herself. And so it creates this kind of cohesive, collective confidence building, as well as something for yourself. So both building social cohesion, but also personal confidence. So this is the concept. The idea is to help students build confidence in themselves by leveraging this cognitive phenomenon where we give advice better to other people than we do to ourselves. One quote that really was driving this home was this from Lauren S. Grace Winkler from the Northwestern University, where she says, "To the degree to which you're lacking confidence, it seems like just being repositioned into the role of a giver versus a receiver can give you everything you need." And I think this is a wonderful idea and a wonderful use case for a language model, hopefully a private one that's run maybe on device or on the school server, for example, to create these kind of magical moments where if it was only a teacher and a TA that were to do this, we'd have to read all the reflections, generate fake personas, email them to everyone and coordinate who's receiving which. But with this kind of generative AI, we can easily create those connections and then create ways for them to set up meeting groups outside, but also maybe build a personal diary that they can reflect in. Let me know in the comments below if you have any thoughts about this experiment. Maybe it sparked an idea for something you can do in your classroom without all this fancy technology. Or maybe you're looking at this and you're thinking that there are ways that we can improve this concept and leverage even more behavioral insights to help students build confidence and realize that they can give themselves advice. If you want to see more, you can subscribe to this channel or click here to get more videos like this. Thanks for watching.